What's up, everybody? Thanks for watching the first episode of the Brother Brain podcast, where we talk about everything to do with video games, reviews, opinions, news, whatever else you can think of. I'm mitsofting. My brother is RedSallQ4. Follow us both on Twitch. If you like the video, please subscribe. In this episode, we talk about the Bungie acquisition from Sony and how it affects both companies' games and what they're going to do going forward. Of course, it's all speculation, but and it leads us down kind of a rabbit hole of what we think is going to happen with all this stuff. And there's a lot to talk about. So please enjoy, like the video if you like it, and I'll see you later.
So Microsoft bought Activision Blizzard King, and Sony purchased Bungie, the creator of Halo and Destiny. So
and
now
they can't have Halo.
they can't have Halo.
It's Xboxes.
Microsoft owns Halo. So I guess, and they also announced that Destiny would remain multi-platform, and all content going forward for Destiny 2 would be multi-platform, and it would all stay the same. There would be no.
So they technically acquired Destiny, but it's not exclusivity. So they're basically buying Bungie for whatever they want to make them next.
Right. So speculatively, they are getting them to help their other studios. Naughty Dog is confirmed to be working on a multiplayer game. Fire something, one of their other studios. I'm typing it in right now.
So they're going to take Bungie, turn them into Raven Software that just makes multiplayer stuff for Call of Duty instead of making good games.
Fire Sprite is the other studio.
Fire Sprite.
They just purchased them last year, and they're confirmed to be working on a multiplayer game. So there's potential that Bungie ends up kind of assisting other studios with multiplayer stuff. So, I mean, obviously nobody knows anything about any of those multiplayer games that Sony's studios are working on.
But that could be a little bit sad that Bungie's being not really wasted, but not making a new IP on their own. Likely.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess they could, but...
Well, I think their plan is to just continue adding stuff to Destiny 2. So they're not really focused on new games or IPs. They're just adding expansions. Like, they still haven't even released the Witch Queen or whatever that's coming out like next week. They still haven't released that.
But that's like... So Sony basically paid $3.6 billion to acquire Destiny 2 and get some help with multiplayer games. Potentially.
No, and whatever else Bungie does in the future, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I guess just having that name also helps, despite it being sort of a shell of itself from the Halo 1 to Reach days.
Right. I like Destiny. Like, it's fun. The gunplay is crazy, like really good.
It is good.
I don't think live service games, specifically, Destiny, The Division, like, they don't grab me as much as I think they grab a lot of people.
Yeah, they get me for a short amount of time. Once I can't level, once the game becomes 99% grinding to get the next thing, and then once you get that next thing, all you can do is like the same stuff over and over again to grind the next thing. That's when it hits for me. So like once I max my level and like beat the content, and then it just starts being repetitive, they completely lose me, which is why both Destiny games I basically played the crap out of when they came out, and they lost me before the first expansion. Like, I was no longer interested because I was done already, because it's like, I don't know. I didn't enjoy the multiplayer. I mean, it was okay, but I wasn't thrilled with it. So
personally, I think Halo Infinite's world for like the campaign is more interesting than any of Destiny's like levels. I don't know. Like,
That was something that disappointed me a lot when Destiny 2 came out, that it continued to be like the same enemies and the same
mm,
like style areas.
there's definitely a lack of variety in a lot of like, especially like the base areas of Destiny 2. Um, I don't know. I don't like how you basically are replaying the same areas over and over and over and over and over and over and over to try and level up or do random missions.
That's part of what
But
makes the end game more boring to me, is that
you're
I
still
don't I don't
doing the
unlock
same.
this whole new area to go to once I hit max level. I don't like it's just, oh, go back to the same planet you've been to
Right.
83 times and grind on this one boss. I don't know.
Yeah.
I understand why people like it. I just don't.
Well, the hopefully with Bungie, maybe like I don't know, maybe they'll just be assisting with like servers and networking and that kind of stuff because Bungie does have good online services for the most part. Like they've never like Halo was way ahead of its time with multiplayer online. They basically
Mm-hmm.
invented console multiplayer. Like without Halo 2 going online, there wouldn't be what we have now probably. But
Yeah.
I'm hoping that Naughty Dog's multiplayer shooter is something, really, really fun and interesting and like a new take on something. And if Bungie kind of helps them polish the multiplayer side up, like as far as, the behind the scenes stuff, because you already know Naughty Dog can make a polished game. Like, there's nobody that does it even close to them.
Nobody does it better.
Nobody. So, like, if they have, I think personally, like they just have Bungie as like if somebody needs help, they can go to Bungie as you know
Experts.
the experts on any of that kind of stuff. But also Bungie's just going to keep Destiny 2 going and maybe learn
So they just
from
continue working on Destiny 2 and basically assist with multiplayer and live service stuff and
yeah. And I
whatever
think
else is happening.
maybe Bungie can get ideas and stuff from Naughty Dog. Like if Naughty Dog, Santa Monica, whatever, Insomniac is like, hey, here's how you can do this better or that better to Destiny. Like, I mean, it benefits everybody. Like, it doesn't necessarily just have to be Bungie assisting everybody else. Like, everybody else can give them new
The same thing,
stuff.
yeah.
So it could benefit everybody. And obviously, Sony thinks it's a good idea to spend three point
$3.6
six
billion on it.
billion
So it
on
better do
them.
something good.
So obviously, they have some kind of plan for those guys. I mean, I obviously love Bungie just because of Halo, like, but at the same time, the main Halo people from back in the day are mostly
Gone.
out of there, so it's
Which is like a big part of why they were so good.
right. But I just want to say my prediction for Naughty Dog's online multiplayer game. You ready?
I'm always ready for that.
Post-apocalyptic
Mm-hmm.
battle royale
Okay, tell them.
with PvP and PvE
I like it.
with like survival elements. So it's gonna kind of take from battle royale games. It's gonna take from Escape
So,
Tarkov and Hunt Showdown.
in the way
And
that. So, when you say survival elements, do you mean like crafting things?
mm-hmm.
Or do you mean, when you say like, what do you mean like share? What would it share with like a game like Tarkov? Like, as in like looting each other and keeping the stuff long term?
looting, and yeah, maybe keeping the stuff post match, and
Take
it
everything
helps
in
you
turn.
later. I think set in the Last of Us universe, you just kind of get dropped into maybe you're in this area.
Maybe
There's
there's
this huge map.
neutral zombies that try and kill everyone while you're also fighting enemy players.
Mm-hmm. There will be a circle that closes in, or certain objectives you have to do, and you basically have to. You start with, the bare minimum, and you have to survive and kill anybody or any infected that get in your way. Obviously, like, imagine you're in a multiplayer gunfight and like a clicker's nearby and just starts running. Like, you have to make a quick
And
decision.
you and the person you're fighting hear that coming.
Mm-hmm.
That's
And
pretty
I mean,
terrifying.
if they have as polished animations and gameplay as The Last of Us Part 2 had in any multiplayer shooter, like, it's gonna be nuts.
It'll be ready by 2029 maybe.
Yeah. Which, yeah, I think the main issue there would be, stability and performance if you have that many
But
animations
at the same
and
time, a game like Hunt Showdown, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Hunt Showdown is only like 8 players.
yeah, something like
It's
that.
only like 4 teams of 2 or something. So, what
Hmm.
if it was something similar to that but on like kind of I think Hunt is on like very small maps.
It's
Um
relatively small, I
but
think.
like it could be similarly sized to that or maybe a bit bigger than that, maybe like double that size because there are going to be zombies running around and it would allow
Mhm.
you more time for like crafting and things like that that don't exist in a game like Hunt, but
Right. Yeah, I mean, potentially
you could have like 10 people and that's it and then just throw a bunch of zombies out.
potentially it's like Apex or something when you're using a battery. You can crouch behind cover, craft a med kit, heal yourself up in the middle of a gunfight while your teammate covers you. Like, the possibilities, it could be insane if it has that Naughty Dog polish behind it.
And you can get a freaking um clicker to attack your enemies while you're like bogged down
Right,
in a
like,
corner and like stuff like that, like
yeah,
bait
like
them.
you know there's people over there, you throw a bottle at them, the clicker starts running over,
Mm-hmm.
and then they have to react to that. You can just get smoked by a clicker, and then you can take advantage of that situation. So, like, there's tons of
Possibilities.
possibilities with that, I
Yeah, that would
think.
be insane. I think that would be. I feel like you said though, especially with the Last of Us universe being behind it, as well as just Naughty Dog in general, they would have it be like next level polish
Mhm.
and like combat and stuff, which makes me think it'll either take forever. Maybe
Which it
they
probably will.
maybe they bought Bungie to full time help with that because they want it to be so good and big. I don't know. Because I mean,
Another
a team of
another
that
thing
size
is,
could
like,
accomplish that.
another game I think of is like Metro Exodus, which I just finished. Like, you get into an area that has the what's it called? Like, the where we when you have to put your gas mask on in The Last of Us.
What do you mean? What's
You
it called?
you know what I'm talking about? When they go in and there's
When there's like the
the
poison stuff,
hmm
the stuff that Ellie's immune to.
yeah, I forget what it's called.
Yeah, whatever. It's not a big deal.
Whatever, but you can have situations where, like, you enter an area and you have to put your gas mask on, or
And like
you
if you didn't find one, you just get smoked.
yeah, and I mean, there's another potential gameplay element is that now, you're infected, you breathe in the spores, that's what they're called, spores.
Spores. Yeah, that's it.
You breathe in the spores, now you have a timer. Now, you've got an hour before you turn. And what if you die and you turn into an infected? And then you can control
So
the infected.
but also, even I was gonna say, even if they don't allow you to control the infected, because I feel like that's opening up a whole other.
Yeah, that's like Left 4 Dead stuff.
Yeah, that's like a whole other world. Even if they don't allow you to control the infected, if you are aware of when you're going to turn officially, what if like say you had one other teammate, you could like strategically place yourself to attack an enemy team for your teammate.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like there could be something
Try
to
and get the
that
win.
where like, oh, I'm gonna turn in the next 10 seconds, so I'm gonna go hide in this corner that's right in the hallway that the other team's gonna have to push, and
Exactly.
I'm gonna change into a clicker and bite their faces off.
Yeah, so even when you're dead, you can technically help your teammate in some way, even if it's like a non-player controlled zombie that you turn into,
Yeah, you just set them up
something
for
like that.
failure.
Yeah, that's my prediction. It's going to be something like that.
I think that would be pretty sick. And if that is the type of thing that they got Bungie to help on, it would make a lot of sense because it would require so much
Mm-hmm.
everything, work, polish, years,
Mark,
employees.
mark my words, something like that.
If something similar to that is coming, even if it's not a BR and it's just sort of like a survival game, um, it'd be pretty wild. Like I remember, you know who Gold Glove is?
Yeah.
I remember Gold Glove kept asking because he loved the original Last of Us multiplayer so much. He would ask for a like base building, like Rust kind of
Mm,
multiplayer game that was based in the Last of Us world, where you would, like you said, like gather resources and stuff, but you would use it to like build your own base, and then like you'd have to find weapons and food and stuff like that. But you would just fight off like enemy players, and then there would also be zombies throughout the world. So it would be like you share a server with however many other players in this giant universe, and you
right.
basically literally just have to survive on your own. And like people could be friendly with you and like help, where they could just not, obviously, um, which I think would be really cool, as long as my like pet peeve with games like Rust and EFT, not EFT, I guess you can't get killed when you're offline in EFT, but
Yeah.
my pet peeve with Rust is that you can lose your stuff while you're not playing, which is like to me just incredibly stupid. Because like I
Mm,
put 100 hours into a game and it all gets undone because some dude found my base while I wasn't on, which I think
right.
is
Yeah,
really dumb.
that's
So as long as that's not
that's
possible, I'd be cool with that.
I agree with that. Yeah, that anything that takes away the player's ability to like
Defend themselves.
manage, defend and manage their stuff, and it's just kind of like, well, I had to go to bed and now 10-year-old Tommy from down the street just stole all my stuff. Like that's not an engaging
Yeah, it's incredibly
mechanic
dumb.
at all.
It's the
That's
opposite of rewarding people's
and
like playtime and work.
I guess you could argue that like, oh, well, if you have a squad of 20 people who are rotating all in and out, but it's like, dude, nobody's going to dedicate their life to something like that. You know,
But
it's
especially like, grown adults with full-time jobs that only have like a couple hours a night or if that to play a
right.
game.
If your
Like,
game's cool, they want to play it, but
yeah, like you got to be able to pop in, pop out, or you're
Mhm.
automatically removing 3/4 of your player base. Like a lot of people who aren't young kids or people who do this for a living cannot afford to be on enough to like keep track of all that stuff.
Right. It's I personally I'm not a huge
That's why
base
I think,
building type of person, I guess, cuz I just want to get into the action,
yeah, I feel
but
that. I thought the same when I played Valheim. I ended up spending more time building the base than doing anything else because I liked it so much. But
yeah.
that game was like friggin' Minecraft
I mean,
building
yeah, this
mixed
the
with
same
like
thing could
realism.
be said for Minecraft, but to be fair, in Minecraft, when I played that, my favorite thing was just going into random caves and finding stuff. Like that was my
Yeah, and
favorite
like
part.
hunting enemies and
I wasn't super interested in
getting
building a cool
treasure.
house,
Yeah, I never got addicted to building really in Minecraft either. I would always just like build something simple and move on.
but
But
the
obviously
other
other people like it, so
yeah, I mean, a lot of people just love building and crafting things, which personally, I think if you can craft things in the middle of a gunfight, like in The Last of Us, because you can do that in the Last of Us Part Two. Like you can just start crafting stuff if you need to. You throw your backpack on the ground and start building stuff.
yeah, which is obviously like a risk reward thing even in single player, and it would be the same thing in multiplayer. And like you said, it's
Right.
like popping a shield in Apex or whatever. Like your teammates better have your back and you better have cover or you're gonna die.
Yeah, and and one of the more addicting things to me for like The Last of Us, BioShock, that kind of stuff is looting and finding hidden stuff around the world. So like if you that could be like another layer to the battle royale looting, finding guns and ammo, is finding crafting mats that could potentially, make you a
Turn into
Molotov
that stuff, yeah.
in the middle of a gunfight and
Right.
stuff like that. So I guess we'll see. Probably not anytime soon, but
All of that
see.
probably has nothing to do with the Bungie acquisition,
No.
but but that's how we got here.
Mm-hmm. Because I can talk about games all day, baby.
We're just spitballing, baby.
But Jeff Keighley also says there's other purchases in the works for this year, and it's only, February 1st. So I
And
guess.
someone, I want to say it was Alana, said that Jeff Keighley was going to buy E3. It might have been Dave Oshry. I forget who it was.
So people were joking about that. I don't think it's legit.
It's not at all. but it would be pretty sick.
Yeah.
Jeff Keighley just owns all the biggest yearly events in all.
Well, apparently E3 is just not a thing this year,
it's
so
just dead now.
they might not ever come back.
We might have actually been to the last one ever. It's sad.
We may have been to the last ever in-person E3. We got very lucky.
It was so cool
that we
too.
went when we did. But yeah, it seems like most people are talking about the fact that Konami is just not doing anything with the IP that they have, like Castlevania, Metal Gear,
Which is
Silent Hill,
huge deal.
Silent Hill, Contra. Like you have all these properties,
So
and
a
you're
potential buyer, which I also saw, it might have been Jason Schreier. I could be wrong about that, but somebody said that EA also said that they're looking to buy.
Mm-hmm.
And first of all, I hope they don't get Konami.
No, I think it would be the most beneficial for one of the bigger literally just EA. I hope they don't get anything. Like,
I mean, it's gonna.
I would rather anybody else.
If somebody gets Konami, it's gonna be Sony or Microsoft, right?
Right. I think so. I mean, Nintendo could potentially do something, but we all know they're
that would be wild
in their own little world most of the
that
time.
Would be the curveball of the century.
Mm-hmm.
But like we talked about earlier, that obviously with the Metal Gear name tied to the Konami,
Mm-hmm.
they could also be hitting up that one guy, on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Little Kojima action back, but did he?
There is potential for Kojima on Metal Gear if that is something that they.
His whole leaving Metal Gear and all that. That whole thing was because of bad stuff with Konami, right?
Yeah, they basically well, he was working on Metal Gear Phantom Pain for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
Like a long time.
Because did Sony own Konami, or they just had Metal Gear?
They
it
just
was exclusively Sony, right?
Yeah, but I don't necessarily know if they own the IP or not. Because I mean, now Metal Gear games they had a Metal Gear Solid 1.
Now.
They had a Metal Gear Solid 1 remake on GameCube. They had, the collection of Metal Gear 1 and 2 or 2 and 3 on Xbox and PS3. So I don't know at this point I'm assuming just Konami has MGS, and
I mean, they can't just let that sit forever.
It would be an absolute no-brainer to purchase Konami or the rights to one of their properties and then just say, Kojima, you can do the Silent Hill game you wanted to do.
Yeah, if you get Kojima on Silent Hill or a new MGS game, you're literally printing money.
Right. Everybody would go nuts for it. Everyone's
going to buy it.
And Konami, so I'm back to the Kojima Konami thing. I'm pretty sure Konami got fed up with him taking so long on Metal Gear, and something happened. They kind of forced them to, release it earlier than Kojima kind of wanted to, I think. So I'm not sure.
It's so weird how these companies have borderline the best people in the business, geniuses working for them, and they just go, yeah, you're taking too long. You just kick them aside. How do you not just let him work on the thing that he created?
Right. So I'm looking at this website.
The website.
So that so they Konami removed Kojima's name from everything it controlled. He was scrubbed from the Metal Gear Solid 5 website. Kojima Productions was renamed to Konami Los Angeles. They issued a joint statement confirming that Kojima was still working on Metal Gear 5, but didn't talk about after release. They basically had a fallout after working together for 3 decades.
That's wild, man.
So the reporters say that for the final 6 months of MGS5, Kojima was locked in a separate room and forced to work on a different floor than the rest of his staff, communicating via proxy, and yet somehow that was only the beginning of the problems.
That's insane.
So Konami did some wild stuff to Kojima.
What the heck, dude?
And I mean, from most reports, nobody has issues working with Kojima. Like, I'm sure the dude is like, obviously
fine.
he's the head of everything, but yeah, he hasn't been, accused of anything like outrageous that would, make people want to do that.
The company literally was just the company, as in Konami, was literally just saying we need more money right now, so hurry up. And he probably was like, no, because it's not done or it's not the best it could be, and they had a problem with it.
Right. So I think Konami's main issues with Kojima was he's a perfectionist just trying to make his vision, and he's spending all this money and spending all this time, and Konami was like, dude, you're burning through millions making this game right now. And then they canceled Silent Hills. They got him out after MGS5. But, like, Phil Spencer obviously knows what he's doing. He's a man of the people. Like,
we love Phil Spencer.
Right. You get Konami. You give Kojima Productions a call and say, hey.
It really does seem... It seems right up their alley for, like... Phil Spencer, Microsoft, to pull that trigger and say,
and
we own Konami now, and Hideo Kojima is back on the next MGS game coming 3 years from now or whatever.
And that's the other thing, is that Microsoft has, and since the beginning, Microsoft has had a tough time in Asia as far as like getting big numbers out there and getting like studios from Japan to like, really work with them.
And
they weren't.
Konami's huge.
And Japanese.
So
I mean, it's a no-brainer. You get Konami. You now have money. Silent Hill, Castlevania. You could get the dude that Konami screwed over with Castlevania that made the Bloodstained games. You could just be like, hey, man, if you want, we have the IP. You can work on Castlevania again.
Yeah, like we will put you as the lead on a new Castlevania game. Do your thing.
And I mean,
it's free money, dude. Like,
what I didn't realize was, the Castlevania Lords of Shadow 3D games. They were developed in part by the team who made Metroid Dread.
Really?
Yes. I did not know that before, but I found out, and I was like, what?
Good?
I think so, yeah. I think
they're not as Castlevania experience other than, what did I play? I played Symphony of the Night, Super Castlevania, and 4. Is 4 and Super Castlevania the same thing?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I played that.
If I remember
Symphony
right.
of the Night, and I think that's it.
Yeah, so, I mean, you have Castlevania, Silent Hill, like, it's a win because Konami is literally like doing slot machines and stuff right now. The last game they put out, like, that they made was like Metal Gear Survive, which got like a 4 out of 10 from every major outlet because it was like a zombie Metal Gear, which doesn't even make sense. There's no zombies in Metal Gear Solid.
Yeah, and there's no Kojima attached to it.
Right.
And now
So I mean,
they're making leapfrog games for people to play in like a dentist office.
I'm assuming Kojima's working on his next thing already. I mean, maybe not because they just did the director's cut of
Death Stranding.
Death Stranding. But like the guy, he literally says he wants to work until he can't anymore, and you have this opportunity to
get one of the best game design minds
right.
ever to just make one of the most popular franchises ever.
And you can have the next Metal Gear be exclusive on Xbox
or
or
Sony or
PlayStation
or Nintendo.
or on the Switch. You could have a Metal Gear
Metal
Solid
Gear
6.
Solid 6 exclusive to Nintendo Switch. Can you imagine like the graphical drop off from the previous one to the one that's exclusive for Switch?
The Phantom Pain versus 6 would be a catastrophe.
It would be like a comparison looking at like PS1 Tomb Raider versus like present day.
Dude, the new Pokemon looks the environments are not good.
It's so crazy.
They're not good.
It's so crazy that Nintendo is so good at just making a downright fun and well-designed game that no one cares what it looks like.
Mm-hmm.
Like Pokemon looks like garbage, but holy crap, it's good.
The world design and the visual design of the environment art is like
it's just
how
it's so plain and like
get decided on.
But it's crazy because it's clearly very like the whole design of the game and the way it works is clearly very inspired by Breath of the Wild, and Breath of the Wild's art style is like beautiful. Like it looked
infinitely
good.
better.
It looked
infinitely
it looked
better.
So good. Every time I got to a new area in that game, I was like looking around at everything. I was like amazed. And in Pokemon, it's just like a wall and some trees, and it's just garbage looking. But the game's so good.
I forget what Dan said the other day, but he was like it makes Breath of the Wild look like it's an
like
IMAX.
Crisis. Yeah,
yeah, look like Crisis. That's what it was.
Makes Breath of the Wild look like Crisis.
Pokemon makes Breath of the Wild look like Crisis, and he's 100% right. Like it is night and day. Like how the Switch can run Breath of the Wild, which is like literally 100 times better design and visual design.
Seriously,
than Pokemon.
Like I have like 27 hours into the game over the course of like 5 days, and I absolutely love it. Like I'd probably give it a like 9.5 out of 10, and every single thing I looked at in that game was so boring. Like I wasn't interested in one. Like I just got done playing Ghost of Tsushima, where like around every corner I wanted to like take screenshots and like just look at things. And now playing Pokemon, I'm completely uninterested in any of that.
It's wild. It's Nintendo always is like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Like they come with this innovative, like insanely cool game, and it's like, but wait, we also added the worst online possible.
Like we made the best Smash Bros ever with every character known to man from 100 different video games, but you still can't play online because the servers are complete garbage.
And they're just like stuck in the past with some of that stuff.
It's crazy.
Nintendo should have bought Bungie so they could get some
like
internet help.
Nintendo has the ammo to literally be the uncontested best if they just put minimal effort into like a modern day console, like
online
high level graphics, online infrastructure.
Get rid of friend codes.
Just like put some work into that whole system and making, like, you know, at this point, what is the PS5 and stuff, like 120 FPS 4K, and we're still playing like 30 FPS games on the Switch. Like,
Dude, we're in the year that like George Jetson was born. It is the future, and we still don't have good online from
if
Nintendo.
they got their stuff together with that, dude, there is not a doubt in my mind Nintendo would be on top. It
Their
wouldn't even be
next
close.
their next console needs to improve upon the Switch, but also their online, their friends list, all of their UI and everything needs to be like
Just
next level.
just imagine Metroid Prime 4 on like a PS5. Like
Right.
with those kind
Like Returnal style like visuals, except Metroid Prime.
it would be insane, dude. It would be so good. I just don't get it. Like I wish
Here,
I could just sit down in a room with them.
just slap somebody in the face.
Like somebody's got to get hit, man.
Here's my question: when's the next Nintendo Direct?
Never.
Probably not.
Well, what do we have? We're waiting on Breath of the Wild 2, Metroid Prime
Mm-hmm.
4. What else is still in the works that we know of?
Uh, Splatoon 3.
Yep. So those
Um,
I feel like those are all games that they barely even announced, honestly. And now it's going to be like years before we hear anything about it ever again.
well, they initially announced Metroid Prime a while ago now, but then they also announced that they
It's been like
restarted
3 years.
development.
Has it
They
been like 3
restarted
years?
development. I think it's been like 3 years since they said they restarted development.
That's
So I
insane.
mean, this year I feel this year is when we hear about
Something.
Metroid. We hear something,
It's gonna be
and
like it's gonna be a 5 second clip of like Samus like jumping in a morph ball, and then it's just gonna say Metroid Prime 4, and that's it. Dark
yeah.
for 3 more years.
I mean that for the initial Breath of the Wild 2 trailers, they basically just like showed Link with his like fake arm or whatever it is, and then that was it.
Is there's no do we have any idea when Breath of the Wild 2 is coming out?
They said 2022.
So that's not happening. So
The majority of people on
don't
the
believe it.
internet think it's 2023.
I would not be surprised if they are like if it ends up being like closer to 2024, like the end of 2023.
A lot of people think God of War is going to get delayed again too. Did it get delayed? I forget.
Yeah.
I don't know. It did.
Yeah, a couple months ago.
Yeah. So a lot of people think
I mean, a game
that's
like
going to get
that,
delayed again.
a game like that, take your freaking time, man. Like the
Same with Breath of the Wild. I'm fine with
yeah,
that.
both of those games, dude. They're
Then
both first ones are 10 out of 10s. There's a lot of pressure. Games of
I
the year.
I will say that Nintendo very rarely delays stuff. Like
They do,
very, very
and they
rarely.
also with their very popular IPs, it's usually also very polished.
Mm-hmm. But I also think we hear about another Mario this year too, because it's been 4 years since.
I mean, it's got to be Odyssey too, right?
When did Odyssey come out? The same year as Breath of the Wild, right?
If it wasn't the same,
27.
if it wasn't the same year, it was the next year.
Like, there's got to be
close.
another brand new Mario in the works.
Well,
for sure.
Breath of the Wild released with the Switch, right? Which was like March of that year.
Yeah.
So
So
Odyssey might have came out in like fall.
Odyssey was October of the same year.
Yeah.
So I mean, 5 years since both of those.
What a banger launch here. That's crazy.
5 years since both of those. So potentially this year, Nintendo has a absolute just like flop their meat on the counter and show Metroid Prime 4, a new Mario, Breath of the Wild 2, Splatoon 3. They got Kirby coming out next month. They just had Pokemon come out. That's probably at the top of every chart possible.
Yeah.
You got Bayonetta 3 we could possibly hear about, which is a Nintendo exclusive. You got you have Nintendo could make this year, and then on top of that, you got the games that already came out. You got Pokemon, you got Dying Light 2, you got Horizon, you have Kirby coming out, you have like all these games coming out this year, this could potentially be like one of the best years of all time. But I mean, that's highly dependent on
those games come out.
Right. If God of War comes out this year, if Zelda comes out this year.
Hey man, as long as the games are good.
Oh, and Elden Ring in a few weeks.
In like 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. So, like, if Nintendo could announce a release date for Silk Song, which is like the Hollow Knight follow-up.
It's crazy because all the Nintendo games you've named, I like don't even get excited because I'm like pretty sure nothing's gonna be shown at all.
I personally think there's a new Mario this year or next.
Like it comes out or it gets announced.
Well, they'll definitely announce it.
They'll announce. I think closer to summer they'll announce Odyssey 2 for 2023, and it'll come out in like spring.
I mean, it would be insane, an insane end of the year if Breath of the Wild and another Mario came out.
I don't think
at the end of the year.
I don't think it'll happen.
But I think we see it get announced, and there have also been talks about Mario Kart 9 being in the works too, which is like just add that to the list of games that Nintendo will make so much money on.
Add that to the list of game that I've never lost in.
Right. But yeah, like 2022, potentially one of the greatest years in video games ever.
Potentially.
Asterisk. If a bunch of games get released, Konami gets bought by somebody and gets Kojima back in.
Can you imagine if Microsoft actually like turns around Blizzard into Activision and like, oh man, that could be the biggest thing ever.
It could be the year that Call of Duty doesn't have a yearly release for the first time in over a decade.
Well, they already have yearly releases set up for the next 2 years, I think, don't they?
Well.
So I think 2024. I'm pretty sure 2024 is the first year that if Microsoft chooses to do so, 2024 could be the first year that a Call of Duty doesn't come out. I'm pretty sure because I think the next two are already set up.
That's good news for everybody. So
yeah, I think the franchise as a whole it's got to just stop.
They gotta dial it back.
We could do a whole episode on what needs to happen with the Call of Duty franchise, but
easily
now is not the time. We're past the 40-minute mark.
Doesn't surprise me.
If you want to wrap it up.
Yeah, I mean, 2022 could be a banger year.
And we hope none of these. I mean, I don't really care. I hope none of these games get delayed because I want to play them. But I don't get upset when games are delayed because it just means that they're going to be better than they were.
Yeah, and I also have more time to play the 20 other games that are coming out.
I also get more time between games coming out because I don't have the money.
Dude, I'm trying to still finish Tales of Arise. I'm trying to beat God of War on PC, and I'm trying to play through Pokemon. And I got Horizon, Elden Ring, Dying Light, Sifu all coming out within like 3 weeks.
Yeah, that's insane.
Like, I don't have time for all that.
This month's stacked.
This month is very stacked. Friday is Dying Light. Sifu's next week.
I'm very interested to see.
Horizon's on the 18th. It's nuts, man.
It's crazy, dude.
It's a good February to be single.
Unlimited game time.
Unlimited.
All right. Let's wrap it up. So that's it for us. We're going to be posting these, I don't know, as often as we can, maybe weekly, maybe 2 a week. Don't really know yet. Still figuring things out. But if you like it, then, consider subscribing. We're both amazing. And we're also he's been streaming on Twitch at RedSawQ4.
Playing God of War on PC.
Which will be linked in the description. And I am just getting back into streaming again, hopefully. And I'm going to start streaming more often, at least a couple times a week, which is twitch.tv/mitsofting, which will also be down below. So Follow both of us on Twitch. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and consider leaving a like. And yeah, that's it. Love you.
Love you.
And we'll see you next time on this video podcast.
We did it.